All right, so here we go. Goju Nation. All right, welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay. So here we go. Everybody says the right thing, and they know they're saying the right thing with confidence. Okay, but that's part of the problem. Because we live in an era where people can sound healed, sound intentional, sound visionary, sound aligned, sound like they've done the work, and still be completely disconnected from themselves. Paul is smiling. Because performance can get you attention, performance can get you followers, performance can get you invited into important rooms. But embodiment is what earns trust. Embodiment is what keeps people from falling apart when the pressure shows up. Embodiment is what makes influence sustainable. So let's get into that. Not leadership as words or language, leadership as structure, leadership as inner architecture, leadership as the discipline of becoming the kind of person who can actually maintain the impact they want. This is industry rule number 4080. Luigi, let's go.
Industry rule. Industry rule number 4080. Industry rule number 4080. Record company people are shady.
Welcome back, Goju Nation. We appreciate you and respect you. Don't forget to tap in on all the socials, Instagram, X, Threads, Facebook, and of course, this will be on YouTube. And we now have a TikTok page. And if you want the qualified, verified, and certified content, insight, and perspective, we need your email because I need your presence in the Gotham Jungle newsletter where you get real culture, real curation, real information. This episode is different but beyond necessary because we're stepping into a lane that sits right in the intersection of leadership, performance, identity, and internal structure. Our guest today, my brother, is Paul E. McFadden, founder and CEO of Evolve Human Potential, a leadership strategist and speaker whose work centers on alignment, clarity, resonance, and embodiment. How you doing, sir?
I love the intro. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
Did I represent it properly?
100%. I couldn't have said it better.
You want me to send you a copy afterwards?
Yeah, please.
How's everything going?
It's going beautiful here down in lovely sunny Florida. It's quite amazing. And I'm happy to be here and certainly share some information, hopefully a little bit of wisdom. But most importantly, make an impact with the things that we talk about today, and completely unscripted, which is what I love.
Right.
Life.
That's how we know it's genuine, right? It's going to be so genuine because we're not faking it, right?
That's right.
So here's my first question, because this is what dives into, and I'm gonna call it the rabbit hole of essentially what you do, because this is a word that you have used with me in different variations because trying to get me to seek the importance of what this word represents within what you're doing, right? What does it really mean to be aligned?
And I love that question because that's a beautiful opener, because it peels back a lot of layers, right? Because I've been talking about alignment for 5 years, and I see a lot of people talking about alignment now. And thank goodness for AI, because AI will crawl and do all the stuff. But alignment is not just about awareness. It's not just about knowing the thing to do. It's actually walking the walk and talking the talk, which is what many of us fail to do at many times. A lot of people talk about life is about love, life is about this, life is about that. I'm religious. I believe in these values. But when they get behind closed doors, those values peel away very quickly. And it's you live the way that you say that you are. And that's a hard one because you got to hold yourself accountable. And
Okay.
alignment really is about self accountability.
Okay. Why do people get the influence but can't maintain it through alignment? Like they arrive there but don't recognize that to maintain it, there's an alignment aspect to it. Like, what are the core issues? Like, what are the bullet point issues where you can say they do these three things? Da, 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 da. Like, how would that play out?
Yeah, yeah. It really comes down to I like there was a meme, an interview I saw in. I'll just kind of summarize it. And it was really asking this gentleman from Jamaica, what's the difference between knowing and belief? What's the difference between knowing and belief? Right? My name is Paul. Your name is Kenyatta. Right? And people call you Tally. Right? And we know our name. We know our name because that's the name that was given to us, and everybody called us that name. And because that was our name, and that's been given to us that way, we know that's our name. If I called you John, you would not respond
Mm.
because you know your name. But if I could convince you your name is John, you might respond to that. But it would take a whole lot of belief and a whole lot of evidence to support that your name is John, to change your mindset around what your name is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Belief is faith. We all have faith in a lot of things. We don't know until we've been given evidence. Right? And so when you put that in perspective around alignment, people think alignment really is about mindset. And it's not just mindset. You have to align your life in the way you respond emotionally. You have to be aligned in the way you think. You have to be aligned in the way you approach things spiritually and what your values are. You have to be aligned physically. You have to put yourself in an environment or create the environment that sustains what you believe.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't do those things mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, consciously, right? I'll call it ethereally or transcendentally, like outside of yourself. You don't create the space, the entire architecture for that. There is no alignment, right? It's about. This is why, like when people talk about affirmations, right? You don't get the affirmation until you align with it. And I talk about it energetically, but there's a lot of things that happen energetically that make that happen. But it's not just saying the words; it's being the words,
Mm.
right? It's the being. It's not even becoming. It's the being. You have to be alive.
Mm. So that's interesting because what you're basically saying is that, let's use a person I spoke about today. So a person like Kanye West, right, who was uber successful, right? If I'm hearing you correctly, as successful as he is, the reason why it cannot be maintained and was not maintained is because he was not in alignment. So success and money is one thing, but the alignment was not there. And as he had a great week this past week, after he made the proper apologies, after he probably is, as he spiritually connected with the Jewish community, a lot of things, it seems a lot more viable that his success or his recent success has happened because he seems to be a little bit more in alignment. In theory, we don't know what those things exactly are. I'm just speaking to your point of what you're saying, that it doesn't matter what the status is of what you've done or where you've been. If you're not in alignment, it's not something that's going to be maintained. You have to have an alignment at all different levels. So that's some kind of referencing. Okay. 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 Okay.
In the words of Shrek, or the donkey in Shrek, there's layers to it. It's like a parfait. There's layers to it.
Right. To dumb it down.
Parfait has layers.
Right.
Alignment has layers, right? And we can't just haphazardly just throw alignment out the door like, hey, yo, we just got to get more aligned and this is all going to be okay. It's like, what does that mean? I love the question because what does alignment mean? Like to me, alignment means I'm a conscious human being in my home, at the gas station, at the Walmart, at my job. If I go to church, at my church. Everything I say, I live and I walk and I breathe it. And if you wake me up at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to say the same thing that I would have said to you at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, because I'm in tune with that. That's who I am. I represent everything that I said authentically, 100%.
I'll take it.
That's me.
I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. So we do this thing, Paul, where I speak in 3 different sections. I do the qualified, do the verified, and the certified part of the conversation. And as you see, they'll each go down a different lane to bring us to a clarity of what we need to arrive at the end. That's so right. We're going to get into the qualified aspect of what's going on right now. And before we get into the impact, that's what we're going to talk about, the impact of this to a certain extent. I want to deal with the illusion first. A lot of people today are being rewarded for presentation, for aesthetics, for language, for optics. But underneath all that, the question still is, are they built for what they're asking for? Right? So why do people confuse polished language, right? Scripts, right? That type of thing, with real development? That speaks directly to the genuine part of embodying what you say you are and being what you are. So why do people confuse polished language with real development?
You know, I like to say that people are seeking, right? And everybody's, now these days, things aren't like they used to be. We could talk about culture, society, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 1,000 years ago, and we could certainly all agree that it's different, right? There's a lot of things that contribute to that. And we have so much information available to us, to our detriment and also to our advantage. As much information as we do have, we shouldn't be making the same mistakes that we made 1,000 years ago, but yet we still are. And we're still not tapping into the potential that we could where we could be based on where our ancestors were. When you start thinking about the progression of where our ancestors were 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, etc., maybe we should be further along. But I think what happens is that people have been sold this promise on finding purpose. That's the newest language. I would say that's probably the newest avenue that most people have taken. You're going to find and unlock your purpose. And I'll be the first to admit, I got on that bandwagon about 10 years ago. That's actually what helped elevate me to the next progression, or my next evolution, was that fire, right? That ember. And yeah, I'm glad that it happened, because as I got on in that space and wanting to find purpose, I was saying, I'm going to find my purpose. And a gentleman told me one time, he said, purpose is universal for everyone. He said, it's grow yourself and give to others. Love yourself, love others. Serve yourself, serve others, right? We're here for a higher reason, but the way you do that, the way you love, the way you give, the way you serve is unique to me, it's unique for you, it's unique for everybody else that's listening to this conversation. That's your calling, and your calling can change in 10 minutes, it can change in 10 years, it can change in 10 months, because one day you might be called to teach a class, the next day you might be called to teach a nation. That's different, right? And what happens is we all are seeking this magic bullet to find this nirvana, if you will. And nirvana really is just about self-actualization. So
at whatever level you see, or at whatever level the approaches to you, right? Because nirvana could be success. Nirvana could be you taking a trip to a place you've never been to before. Nirvana could be the right person in your life that fits like a building block and helps to elevate you or help get you where you got to go. It could be the way you were raised. It doesn't necessarily have to be a success model at a certain place and number, right? Or status or title.
That's right. And I think what happens is we get confused by that. I think that in a society where we live, particularly when you're talking about a capitalistic society, right? It's about status, it's about money, it's about, the titles, right? So we've all been sold this lie that success is about those things. When success really is about, can you maintain peace? You notice I didn't say happiness. Can you maintain peace?
So that brings me to this question, right? culturally today, right? Because watch what I bring into the equation to help work with the alignment, right? In this social media and branding age, right? Are we in a space where we've outrun character because these other things are so important?
That's a hard
Oh,
one.
that's a great question. So,
That's a hard one.
what is character, right? And if let's go with this. I'm gonna go with this tangent. So let's assume character is built by your values. Where'd your values come from?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Who gave them to you? Are those really your values, right? And I don't, we don't take we don't take the time to ponder that question. Where do these values come from, and do those fit me? Right? It's not about. This is not even about being a good human or not. I think that inherently we all want to be good human beings on some level.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But what does that mean to you, right? What does that mean as far as how I choose to live and how I choose to treat others? How do I choose to think about myself? And so, in this age, I think people are so confused that we don't know who we are, which is a disconnect. It's like we're
Mm-hmm.
disconnected from our body, we're disconnected from our mind, we're disconnected from our emotions. So we're we're disconnected spiritually. That's not alignment at all, right? So alignment really comes back to connecting back with those things, and connecting back spiritually, whatever that means to you. Connecting with your body, connecting with your mind, all that stuff.
So this is a tangent question because you just sparked something in my head right now, right? Because the statement that you said as far as have you even sat down and asked yourself where your values come from? I could promise you that if you spoke to 100 people, 99 would say they would even know how to ask themselves that question.
99 and a half.
Okay. So with that statement, without, because I want to educate as we go along here, right? How do you even broach looking at yourself to ask yourself that question? Because the word value is a definition to its own that may be different for other people. You understand what I'm saying? And I understand what you're saying as far as, where they come from, right? So if you lived on a farm, if you've lived in Australia, if you've lived in the North Pole, your values are all different just from your environment. But what's the first step to even be able to ask yourself that to get a real answer out of that?
Yeah. So I'll share an equation, right? And I think that we all go through life asking ourselves this question: who am I and what am I here to do? Right? And that question becomes apparent to us at different stages in our life. For some people, that question becomes apparent to them, or those two questions become apparent to them when they're adolescent. For other people, they're in their middle age, and for other people, it comes at the end of life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's lots of research that supports this, which is why I'm sharing it. But who am I? What am I here to do? Right? That is the inherent question. And when we start asking that question, who am I? What am I here to do? You can't really determine that until you actually dig deep into what are my values, what am I really passionate about, and what are the things that I'm really good at? What are my gifts? Right? So gifts, passions, values. And most people never figure out what they're really called to do because they don't understand what their values are. And I say this from the perspective of when people are told to be a certain way, and they experience something that we call cognitive dissonance, where they're like, it doesn't feel right to me, but because you said I need to be that way, I'm going to do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you tell someone to like something, or you tell someone to dislike something, and they don't understand why, but for some reason, energetically, physically, there is some kind of resistance to it. It's a values mismatch. It doesn't feel good, right? And then the question becomes, well, why is that, and why are you telling me to do it this way? Because this is our values. Fundamentally, we're taught our values by our caregivers, our families, by our institutions, say church, say even in some cultures, government, right? They tell you how to feel, how to believe, how to think. But when you feel like those things are not congruent with who you are, then maybe those aren't the values that you have personally, and you need to dig deeper into asking the question, what are my true values? Most people don't do this. People that do this are people who do work with life coaches, people who work with therapists, and they take assessments, and they're kind of put in positions where they're forced to actually dig deep into that question.
Mm-hmm.
But most people don't have the opportunity to do it, and it's a tool it's free to all of us. What are the things that matter to me most? You know what? It matters to me most that I have respect. It matters to me most that I am honest and people are honest with me. It matters to me most that people treat me with kindness and I treat people with kindness. It matters to me most that compassion exists. Don't let someone suffer that doesn't need to suffer. If it's within your means to do something about it,
That is significant.
right?
I mean,
So,
that's so, I'm saying how significant that is, because they're going back to like just relationships that people have with each other. Do you know how many times that people get mad at each other and says, well, what kind of values do you respect? They get mad, and the word values come into play when they feel a certain level of disrespect or not being done the proper way, or if there's a bad business deal. The word values pops up within that ecosphere. And the bottom line is that, has anybody, like the people who are saying this, have they really broken down what their values are? It's almost like that question comes up at a place where it's the beginning of the situation. You know what I mean? It doesn't come at the end of the situation. It's like they say it as if it's a finished product, but we haven't even started the process. But you're speaking about values. How does that work? Like that's like a scary thing to me. Like, Jesus, that's scary to me. It's like,
it is.
because think about relationships. Think about you being in a relationship with a person, you've been with them, your relationship with your family. You know your brother or sister for whatever years, right? And then y'all get into a big fight, and your sister says, "Brother, well, what kind of values do you represent?" But he's never had the conversation, and they're related, and they live with each other, They fought with each other and fought each other after school. They sacrificed food in the house and bought each other Christmas gifts, but we can't even have a values conversation because it's never been broached. That is intensely scary.
It's
scary.
assumption.
That is, I can't even express how that
I heard it in the back. It's an assumption. Your family instills the values onto you. But if your caregivers or your parents don't have a solid foundation in a value system, they
Right.
can't instill it upon you. Now think about how many generations
Too many, every
people
every.
have not instilled. I'm not even say proper values, just values onto their
Like we said,
offspring.
to begin the process.
To begin the process to have that conversation.
To look at an
begin that
8-year-old
process.
to look at an 8-year-old kid that is selfish, for argument's sake, right? And all he does is take when he goes to the birthday party, he's eating all the ice cream, eating all the cake, blah, blah, blah. And somebody's gonna pull him to the side and say, we need to have a conversation about values. Because the way that you're carrying yourself right now, you're only looking the way that it perceived and what's being perpetuated is a bad system of values, because there's nobody telling you about values.
Nobody's telling you about values.
So when the person becomes a taker and selfish and a manipulator, where did this come from? Well, when he was 8, he was stealing the goddamn cake and candy from the kids. When it was Halloween, he was going in the kid's bag, and nobody said, not they said no, but they didn't say, we need to have a conversation.
We need to talk
values.
about why. We need to talk about why.
Surface conversation.
Right, that is
Surface
deep.
conversation.
Oh my
So
God.
now, let me tell you the root of that, right? So this is Paul McFadden speaking, right? And I'll say this is based on my, 5+ decades living on this planet and experiencing, things in person, hearing the stories of my parents and ancestors being conveyed to me, right? And so when you think about what we have done as a society, we replaced those conversations with our education system.
Oh my God.
And we took the responsibility of teaching those values and placed it in the education system.
And we just had the conversation of how ratchet that is.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't an overnight thing, but I can tell you right now, it was and I'll just say it this way, it was a master plan, right?
Sure.
Because when you look at how things turned out now, you look at where education is now, you can see it. You can step back and look at it and be like, wow, that was the plan all along.
Yes.
It was the plan all along. Because when you take information away from the family and you put it inside of an institution, you can control the institution.
Absolutely.
And when you control the institution, you control the family.
That's one of my favorite statements that is derivative of what you're saying, but dead on to what you're saying, is that this country hasn't learned to deal with finance until they're in debt. Because when you go to school, they teach you how to add, they teach you how to subtract, they even teach you how to write a check. They don't teach you about debt, they don't teach you about credit. So you don't learn about debt or credit until you're in debt. Damn near. Okay. Which is a value that easily a fourth grader should be taught. Okay. But you don't learn that literally on the average till you're in your second year of college, because you already got the credit card for free. You already done overspent on it. And now they got you in debt. Now, once you're in debt, they got you. So going back to the point of values, I'm just speaking about financial and monetary values. They're not even taught. That's not even in the conversation of education when it comes to kids in school. Never. Okay. They'll teach you how to add money and how to spend money, but never what to do with the money, which is something that you should learn instead of learning calligraphy.
100%. Right. So then back to our conversation before we started this, right? So then you look at the entire system, right? And the folks who run the systems teach their kids in the beginning. They instill the values. So here's the kicker. They instill those values in their kids early on because they're not in the system. They're above the system. They're running the system, right? So if you're in the system, you never learn about it.
Goju Nation, I hope you're okay, because this will make your brain explode if you're not paying close attention. My God,
we're just getting started.
and we're only in qualified. Okay, let me get a message here. A lot of people have a message, but not a method. That speaks to values as well, too. If you don't have values, how can you do that, right? Some people want the visibility of leadership without the weight of responsibility. That speaks to your alignment statement, loud and clear, right? This is an era of curated depth, which is a nice way of saying people are controlling their values and instilling them in their own way without even knowing this being done. And people can sound off how self-aware they are and still be running from themselves, which breaks down again to, if you don't have a value system, systematically, that's where you would start. You don't even know you have to start from there to be self-aware. How can you do that? My God, that's scary. Next question. This is me validating I'm paying attention here. Okay. So yes, I'm walking away informed as well. Okay. When somebody keeps falling in the same area, they've got the language, the credentials, the resume, maybe even the applause. What does that tell you about the architecture underneath that plays into what we are saying?
I'm gonna talk about that from a personal experience perspective, right? So there was a time where, and I think that most people who have I will say that will say they found success, or at least feel like they found success, can relate to this. There was a time where I felt like I had reached the pinnacle of what I was doing, particularly in the leadership and organizational development space. Mm-hmm. I was getting invited to the conferences to speak. I was getting paid to do it. I had all the contracts. I had the recognition. I have 1,000 certifications. I have the entire alphabet behind my name. Right? I did all the things. Right? Right? And I'm sitting there, and even in that space, there was like this nagging thing that's like, I just haven't done the thing, or I haven't achieved the thing that I thought I was going to achieve, or I'm not exactly where I thought I was going to be. And that's, so I talk about that now. That's the misalignment that we experience. We don't have a word for it at the time. It's that. So
let me pause for 2 seconds. Yeah. Pause for 2 seconds before you get to intuition. So what you're saying, which is important, I'm pausing because I want the audience to hear this statement very clearly. Okay. you yourself are speaking to the level of acknowledgement, success, like you said, the alphabet behind you, the certifications, the qualifications, right? And even the world that goes along with that, that turns into what success looks like, the meetings, the outfits, the traveling, blah, 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 right? And with all that being in place, you still are clearly saying out loud, okay, that the alignment still, as much as you're doing what you're doing, okay, the alignment still was misplaced or not placed properly, and you had to make an adjustment. Did I hear that carefully?
That's 100% right.
Please continue.
That's 100% right. And when you have that moment, you're by yourself. You're alone.
Yes. Right.
You're alone. And that alone feeling, you almost feel lost. Because you start to question all the things, all the education, all the certifications, all the hours, time spent, time lost to get where you got, to feel empty, to feel not fulfilled. Fulfillment and contentment are two different things. You can be content with your situation. Doesn't mean you're fulfilled. You're just you're just okay where you are. That's good enough, right? And for some people, that's great. I mean, some people are good with contentment. I'm not trying to down talk it. But when you feel like something's missing, that means there is misalignment somewhere. You just got to figure out where it is. And so it takes that to happen for you to take a step back. I mean, and this is the important key. Like when you experience that, you have to take a step back. And if you don't take the step back voluntarily, you're going to have to take that step back involuntarily. It's going to happen whether you want it to or not. And
Does that tie in? Is there a spiritual aspect to that as well too? Because you know that people say, like, you know, if God wants you to learn something, He takes stuff away from you, like that type of thought process. Is that what that ties into? It ties to the spirituality of it.
It's that entire experience, and this is where my epiphany happened. Right, for me, that's where it happened for me. I said, you know what? You know, this is not just a mental game. Like you read all the books, you read the Zig Ziglar, you read all the things. You go to Tony Robbins shows. You do the Tony Robbins experience. you do all the things, man, and you
check
pay
all
for all the
boxes.
conferences. You check all the boxes, and you're like, okay, so it's not just mindset. This is where people mess up. They think it's mindset. It's not mindset. Right, mindset is but it's a quarter. It's a 1/20, 1/5 of the equation. Right? How are you living physically? What's your environment like? How are you living physically? What's going on with you physically? Why are you on top of that? Are you in tune to that? Are you connected to the body? Are you connected to the mind? Are you connected with your emotional state? I've done many, I'll say, webinars, podcasts, and talked about spirituality, because people always ask me about spirituality. They see me wearing a cross, right? And I got it on today, and people, assume immediately that I'm a very religious person, and I say religion is one way to practice your spirituality. It's not the only way. It's not the only way to practice your spirituality. And this is not to slight anybody's religion, right? It has a place, but it's one way to practice, right? I'm a very spiritual person because I understand that I have to be in tune with a power higher than just this physical form, which is really in reality me. Because who's having this conversation right now? We're in meat suits with a consciousness, exchanging thoughts and ideas in philosophy.
Right.
But that information is coming from somewhere. Like, this is a very organic conversation. I didn't prepare for this. I didn't know what I was going to say. Where is this information coming from? Like, where is the message coming from? Right?
How about the method to that madness, right? To a certain thought process, right? How did we arrive here? How are we having this type of conversation? How about the depth of where we're going with this, right? This wasn't a script that was given to us, right? I had an outline in my head, but I made a left turn, and then it's still aligning with the conversation that needs to be had. If you follow me, right? It's not just saying we're checking box 1 through 10. We're just checking how do I say this? We're checking the boxes in each category that need to be assessed and spoken on, right? So if we head spiritually, then we'll have a spiritual, it'll lean down that lane. If it leads mentally, we'll head down that lane. We won't sit back and say, no, we're supposed to be having a physical conversation. No, this is where it goes. And that's happening organically, which is where it's supposed to go. Right? Help me. I'm not trying to dictate what it is. I'm trying to see if I'm receiving what you're saying properly.
You're receiving the message because every time I have an opportunity to speak, I always go into it with the thought in mind, whatever comes out is what the room needs. And I feel the energy of the room. I feel the energy of the question. I feel the energy of the conversation. I feel the direction that we're going. And it's like, what is necessary right now? And I'm a vessel. I am the vessel in this space. I'm not even talking religiously. I'm the mouthpiece for it.
Mm-hmm.
The information is coming through me. Call it a channel, call it whatever you want to. I'm not trying to be like I'm like the intuitive reader. I'm just saying what's necessary to be like. What comes out is what I feel like is necessary to be said right now in this moment, because I know that the people that are listening need to hear this right now.
This is fantastic. I have literally, like I said before, I know how we get down. I literally have 7 more things in this category. I'm stopping the qualified section here. And I want to get into the verified part of this. And I'm going to start verified. And I'm going to let my man Tony jump in here and ask you a question or jump in with a statement that will continue the conversation while we set this up. Tone, anything you got from my man Paul?
Listen, man, Paul is so on point right now. I have nothing to follow it. You know what I mean? Like, he's right where he needs to be. So there's nothing to put further in this conversation because he's right there. Let me back up a little bit. I'm sorry about this, Paul. The conscious thing is something that's important, what he said, right? Because what we think that a lot of times when we're getting information that's just processed, right? When the room is on the same page, and we didn't sit here and write a script out to say, these are the things that we're going to talk about, what we're going to say. We're now, the best way to say it, we're now plugged into Wi-Fi, the conscious Wi-Fi. And this is what scientists is now discovering. There is something outside of the mind that downloads into us, and we all become connected. So I just want to put that out as far as consciousness is concerned, because that's a deep conversation that needs to be had. People need to understand.
And we don't have the conversation enough, and we don't have it enough.
That's fact. I am subconsciously blown away, literally at the levels of what these conversations have to be had. And the reason why I'm saying that, Paul, is because you know the world that we come from and how much we have to delve into layers of what is happening, what is not happening, right? To be prepared for the purpose, to deal with certain people on certain levels. We know what that little manual that we were given, right? That we keep in our bag, right? That little blue thing that we keep in our bag. That's always our reminder to go back to it, right? But how about the fact that these things are not even being spoken about? Like what Tone just spoke about, right? I'm saying in the back of my mind, but we didn't have the value conversation. How can we even get there? We can't even get there yet because we haven't had the value conversation yet. There's so many layers to this. I am blown away in my own mind of the levels of self audit that has to happen to arrive at a place to receive this information properly so you can move forward as an individual. It's like I damn it when I look at people and says, you can't be in a relationship, you have a values conversation. Oh, I like this guy. No, you don't. You don't even know what your damn values are.
Exactly.
You don't know what his, hers, or hers are.
Exactly.
Okay, I think we're going to move in together without the value conversation. We're going to move in. You didn't have the value conversation. You're going to move in? Oh my God, this is a disaster.
Exactly.
This is not going to happen, right? You're looking at people that's successful, like you don't have a spiritual part of your existence, but you're running a company? Oh my God, it's going to explode. The company's going to explode.
It's going to explode at some point.
Explode because you don't have that in there. Okay, you don't have a mental preparation of what you're dealing with right now. Which again, you can't have it at the damn value conversation. I'm landing at this value conversation.
Let me ask Paul this quick question. If you had to give 5 points to everyone, because right now people should be thinking,
right?
When do I need to check in with myself, and how do I evaluate that? How do I do self-evaluation? What 5 questions would you tell them to ask themselves?
That's really great. I love that because it goes back. It actually falls into practice as a ritual. right?
Right.
And I'm calling it ritual because ritual is done with intention.
Mm-hmm.
Ritual's done with intention. This is not just a morning practice you just do because someone said to do it. You understand the reason why you're doing it, right? And so I'll start off with mine, right? And this really takes 5 minutes, literally. I wake up in the morning, and the first thing I do is I assess how my body feels physically. Just a physical scan. Are there any aches, anything new happening, something off, right? This is a tune into the body. If there's an ache there, I might ask the question, why is that happening? What did I do yesterday? What did I do last night? Right? Is this something I need to be concerned about? That's a physical check-in. I do an emotional check-in. How am I feeling right now? Am I upset or have anxiety about or frustration about something that happened yesterday or the day before or last week or last month, whatever? How am I feeling right now? That's the emotional check-in. There's a mental check-in. What's the first thing I thought about this morning? Was I thinking things about negatively or was I thinking about things positively? Right? This sets off the day from a mindset perspective. Spiritually, what am I most grateful for right now? I'm grateful just because I woke up. I woke up and I opened my eyes and put my feet on the ground. Right? The sun is out today. Hell, it rained this morning. I'm happy about that too because I got to witness it. Right? And so it's that gratitude piece. And then, what can I do to support someone else today?
Mm.
Right? The thing that's outside of you, right? Who can I serve? And it takes 5 minutes to do that. How do I want to show up? And it takes 5 minutes to do that practice, but when I do that practice, it kind of sets the tone with intention. I know how I feel. If I want to change how I feel, I do something. If my body is tired or my body is achy, I might rest or I might work out. If my emotional state is not where it needs to be, I change the station of my emotions. If I'm frustrated, what do I need to do to get to be happy, or what I need to do to feel joy, or what I need to do to feel excited today? And whatever I need to do to change that state, I'll do it. So how do I change my mindset? What do I need to think? What if I'm thinking negatively? What I need to do to think positively? Those are the things that I figure out. So it's not just asking the questions, it's about also having a practice to change your state or change whatever it is that you don't want. And a lot of times we will have the awareness to do the assessment. I'm pissed off today. Do you want to change that or not?
Let's go, Paul.
Because you don't have to be pissed off today. You could be in a different state. Because pissed off is not going to be productive.
Right.
But I'm pissed off, but I want to change that to focused. Pissed off can inspire focus.
Mm-hmm.
How do I stay focused?
Oh, you know what is amazing? Again, this is for me personally. I won't be the same after this conversation. When you're tying together how you're feeling with what are you going to do about it, or how do you want to feel about it? That's another thing that people do not even ask themselves. They're just there, right? If you are upset, you're not okay. I'm just upset and I'm not okay. You don't say actively. So how do I address that? Right? Do I want to be, will I be okay if I just stay home today and stay away from people so I can calm myself down? Right? And let's go to the fifth one. If I do something for somebody, will that make me feel better? Because that last one, nobody says that. Nobody wakes up and says, how can I be of service to somebody today? It's all about what has to happen in my life today. And I'm waking up to go get that done.
That's not true.
Okay. Well, I'll say the phrase I say to one of my people I work with. You put 100 people in a room, 90 are saying that.
Yeah, 90 saying that, right.
Okay. So with that being the case, it's going back to the fact that it needs to be a ritual. Okay. That goes back to another conversation that we're not having that has layers to it because your damn values. It drives me crazy. And this all comes back to the damn values. Because if you had a value system in place, that statement doesn't come across as weird.
Right.
It comes across as breathing, not even normal, as breathing. Because of my value system, even if it's not helping somebody else out, you would wake up in the morning and say, I want my kids to smile before they go to school today. That's how I'm gonna be of service.
Yeah.
Okay. You would say it out loud, not get up and let's go to school, and not trip over those moments. It'd be a value and instill to make sure it happens on a consistent basis. Not just he likes pancakes.
But here's something else. And Paul, maybe you can confirm this for me. The problem is, one of the major problems we're having is we're getting up and we're scrolling before we can have these conversations with ourselves.
True.
So the society has been disconnected to connecting to ourselves because we're so busy chasing images that are not real. Yes. So you can't sit for 2 seconds for 5 minutes. And what Paul said is right. It only takes 5 minutes to align yourself for the day.
The part
and you can do that while you're making your bed.
The part that's hysterical, because I'm adding a joke to this.
I love that you said it. You can do it while you're making your bed. 100%. Exactly.
I'm making light of this because what you said is what needs to happen, but here's the reality. Once we wake up and we roll over, the first thing we're doing is we're scratching ourselves around the bed to reach for where the damn phone is.
Right.
When I even getting up and going to the bathroom, right. Before we even get up and go to the bathroom,
with us to the bathroom,
and we're saying we're damn near scratching ourselves to reach for the phone. And if we don't find the phone, we're not going to the bathroom either. I'm not moving till I find this damn phone.
You're gonna find the phone.
Okay. So ready for this? So now we're 2 minutes in on our 5 minutes that we need to do because we're looking for the damn phone.
Because we're looking for the phone.
Here's what's going to disrupt you a little more, Sally. The phone has now become our value.
The phone has become.
No, say it again because that's the truth. That is the truth. The phone has become a value.
No,
the phone has become a value. This has become a value.
That hurt. Like the girl you thought you were going to take out on a date. And then she calls you and says, I changed my mind. That's ouch. God damn. Damn, the phone's a damn value?
Yeah. If you're reaching for it before you deal with anything else that you have to deal with for the day, that means it's the most important thing in your life.
Technology is the value?
It's the value. It's the most important thing to, and I'll say this because
I'm just not okay.
Here's the kicker to that, and I want to put numbers behind that because most people don't think that's real, right? They hear what we just said, and they don't think that we're talking about.
That's why I'm grabbing my face like this. Because I'm saying, look, full disclosure. God damn it, I pick up my phone first thing in the morning. Okay? And I'm not saying it in a good way or bad way. I'm saying I get it.
It's what it is.
It is what it is.
It is.
So when this one says the phone's the value, I'm imitating his voice right now. I'm fucking livid.
Okay? Because is that really my value?
Yeah, like I got a problem. No, because watch the depth. Watch the depth. Because I haven't had the damn value conversation.
Right.
So if I haven't had the value conversation, and then subconsciously, because of the system, right? Let's talk about the system, right? With the values they're instilling within us. And now I'm grabbing this damn phone. I feel like I'm a retard. Like I'm really, my equilibrium is a real concern to me right now within that. I'm saying it out loud because I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I'm saying because it needs to be said because half of what we're talking about is being able to say it, to acknowledge it, to deal with it. So I'll be the first one to say it. I'm reaching and scratching for the damn phone in the morning. Now the phone's my values. God, ain't this some BS? But look.
And you're not alone because it's a value for about 4.
No. 100 people in the room. That's what 90 do. So I'm not running from that. I know what the case is. I'm not a unicorn in this.
No, you're not a unicorn.
Okay, I'm a brown horse. They're everywhere. Okay?
They're everywhere. So, a lot of brown horses, man.
That's not the case. Okay, so here's what I want to do now because we went nowhere near what I wanted to ask you, but this is so important. I'm going to call that verified. Okay, I'm going to call that verified. And I want to get into the certified part of this conversation. Okay, and I want to start talking about some solutions here. Okay, I need you to walk into some things we need to do here. So literally, and I'm going to walk it in a podcast way. So one, as I do it with my other guests, you got to give these people 2 things to do so they could come back and grow from this. Okay. Someone's going to say 5. I'll say 5 as well too, but you got to give them something that they can go and do. Like what's the first thing they say? First set of being productive is make the bed, right? So if you make the bed every day, that's a start towards being something significant. So they need some things like that. I'm not saying it's that simple. I'm just saying that go wherever you want to go with it. Tone, please jump in when you want to jump in. But we gotta get me off this phone in the morning.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so we have to figure out how we make this thing happen. I'm not saying attack me, but you can if you want. I'm just saying that we got to start. People have to walk away and say, "I heard I ain't got no values." I'm breaking this down as if they're 4 years old. Okay, I don't have no values because I never had the damn conversation. So how am I even going through lifing if I don't have no damn values? That's number 1. Number 2, this is what I got from this. Number 2, systems have been in place generationally to put us in this position in space that we're not even aware that we're in this space. That's what I got from number 2. Okay. And number 3, once you recognize those 2 things, you're at a place where you can start the process of getting this right. So that's where we are with certified. Now we're going to start the process of getting this right. Now, please jump in with whatever I miss. Remember, I'm not the TED Talk guy. You're the TED Talk guy. Okay. So with that being the case, if I miss 2 things, please stick them in. But land the plane by saying after that, and here's where you start. Okay. And we may have to give it to them, Tone, as well, as if they're 4th graders. Because we're talking again, when the values aren't in place, and I'm not saying my audience is a certain place mentally or not, but this has to be broken down very simply so they can approach this without their brain exploding, because you're telling grown people that there are things you should have done when you were 4. Okay? And you're now grown. You got to go back there to be able to come full circle.
Everybody's going to talk to the inner child.
Right. So with that being the case, I'll stop. I'm off my soapbox. I just wanted to prep this because I know I'm gonna be quiet for a while now and let you dance. Okay. Yeah. So I'll leave it there. Tone, by all means, I kind of you jump in here as well too as he goes through it.
Yeah, this is it's an interesting place because even we're talking about this, and some of the work that I've done in the past, right? And there's been an evolution. There's been an evolution of myself. I shared, my own personal beginning, right? I thought I was here, right, and up to here, and then I realized that there was still this empty thing, and then that
and just for the audience to understand, context wise, and you're in this space and you're having corporate conversations with corporations about their staff, how they need to be in this place of space. You're talking to CEOs and COOs and heads of HR about their staffs of 50 to 100 to 200 people about this type of alignment as you're going through this. This is how, like my mother used to say this, the world's a little bit crooked, so you gotta be a little bit crooked to set it straight.
That's right.
Okay.
You gotta be a little
bit with that thought. So that's what I'm alluding to with the things that you were involved in, as well as you working on you. Like this is how off this is. Please continue. I just want to stay.
Yeah, 100%. Right. So yeah, you're right. I mean, I'll go back to the day. The day I was sitting at this conference. It was for Fortune 100 companies. It was a global leadership institute, not a conference, an institute where there was coaching, there was some education, there was an assessment, there was innovation, all this work being done. I'm sitting here, I am chosen as one of the elite coaches to support this experience. There were only 10 coaches and 10 facilitators. I was one. Right? The ultimate invitation for 3 years in a row. Right? I'm working with Fortune 100 companies. I'm not going to name them because I probably shouldn't name them all, right? But I was working with some of the top 10 companies in the country, right? Internationally. So now here I am in this space where I'm like, I felt like I was at the top. I don't even know if I'm right. I mean, you go through the imposter syndrome, you go through all the stuff because you got all the certifications. Do I even deserve to be in this room now? Because I don't have this straight within myself. And am I really following my calling? Right? In this time, I did a TED Talk. After that, right? And the TED Talk came when I got to a point where I got some awareness around myself, and I said, who am I becoming? Because life is either you're becoming something or you're dying. You're doing one of two things. There's an evolution, or you're staying the same. If you're staying the same, you're dying. So you're either evolving or you're not. And was I becoming someone different, or was I becoming more like me? And there's the philosophical question we all have to ask ourselves: who are we becoming now? Right? And you don't know that question, the answer to that question, till you understand who you are. And who you are is not your name. Who you are is not the label that you give yourself. Who you are is not the titles that people are giving to you. Who you are is something else. And you have to explore that, right? And so I would say, like, what do we need to do? There's so many different avenues, right? Sit down with yourself and ask yourself the question. This is what got me started. Maybe I'll start with these two. What are the two most important days in your life?
Okay.
The first one's easy. The day you were born. You wouldn't be here without that, right? Thank your parents or the people who conceived you, right? You're here. For a human being to be born, it's like a 1 in 1 millionth of a chance for you to be born.
You just made Tony smile. Go ahead.
So you're here.
Is that not my thing?
That's your mantra.
Right? You're here, right? But the second most important moment, and I'll just give it to you, is the day you figure out why. So you should be exploring, why am I here?
I hate this shit.
And now we bring in all the neuroscience and all the psychology of everything, and of course, people are in survival mode, right?
But that's a beautiful thing, because watch this. That's the onus to come back. See, for me, that's enough, because most important that you're born, and then why you were here, that walks into a beginning of a value structure just by knowing what those two things are. Right? Because if you're a mother, you say, well, the day I was born and the day my kids were born. Okay, value structure can start to be established, because that means how important your children are to you, which starts walking you through a moral compass of how you start to look about things. You really start having the conversation with yourself.
So I'm sorry. I'm sorry to do this to you, bro. When you put the value on your children, or that's the thing you're supposed to do, your children grow up and leave. And when they left, if you haven't created a different value system, you break down.
That's right.
My point isn't it is children or it isn't children. Right. My point is that it starts a conversation. Because even if it's so if the mother says that to you or to Paul, then you say what you just said. Right, exactly. Okay. Exactly. Then within that, they're learning how to frame their way of thinking. They don't even have a way that's the sadness of my energy. They don't even have a way to. This is a baby with a bottle that doesn't know which end they should drink from.
And that's the thing we have to realize.
Okay, and then when you give them the bottle, and they try it, all you say is wrong, wrong.
No.
No. And the baby's like, what the entire F am I supposed to do here?
What am I supposed to do?
Okay. Because the reason why I'm saying the parents saying no, because remember, the parents don't have values either.
And that's the problem.
So now is, if it's a movie, it's Dumb and Dumber.
That's right.
Dumb and Dumbest.
Okay. And it's dumb, and then dumber, then dumbest, then dummiest, and double dumb, and quadruple dumb family. Because it's generational. Am I missing something, Paul?
No, you're hitting it on the nail on the head.
Only thing I'm doing is, and I want you to hear me on this, is that I'm just doing it because for those that don't have I'm just saying respectfully, the bandwidth to embrace this at a certain level, I'm trying to make it very 1 + 1 makes 2. 1 + 1 makes 2. Okay? Because again, going back to the values, you have to learn how to add before you can subtract, before you can multiply, before you can divide. So you have to speak in addition terms, which is all that I am doing, not to insult anybody, but to say, this is how you kind of got to look at it.
And here's one thing I'm pretty sure Paul's going to come up with at some point. If you're not truthful with yourself, none of this matters.
Yeah, 100%. This requires 100% honesty. You can't be afraid of who's in the room. As a matter of fact, do this by yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you do it with someone else, you're always going to you're always going to give the answer that's going to make you present you in good light to the other person.
Okay, let's go over this one more time. Okay. this is some significant stuff here.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to make sure, I want you to say the sentence again. What's the most important thing to you? Say that one more time? I want you to say it your way.
The two most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you figure out why.
Okay. Add some notes to that one. I think they can handle 3, right, Tony? Yeah. They can handle 3. Give me one more.
And then the other thing is, and I think Tony hit this, right? You have to be honest with yourself, right? And for most of us, so I don't want anybody to say that we just made a general statement that generalized everybody. For most people, if you are doing this for someone else, you're going to present yourself in a light that makes you put you in a positive light with someone else. You're going to try to impress them, right? This is individualized work. And I'm going to say this statement because this is one of my mantras. Life is not meant to be a solo journey. However, figuring out why you're here is your journey and your journey alone.
Right. That's right.
Damn.
Once you figure out why, there's enough support to help you do all of it, right?
That is beyond true.
But you got to figure out why you're here. This is why they did rites of passage. This is why they did vision quests. This is why the tribal elders took you when you were 16 years old and said, get out there and survive and come back in 30 moons and tell me what you learned and what your spirit name is. And if
this is what's fantastic about this, because here's the 1 + 1 makes 2 process, right? Once you figure out, watch how life does this, right? Once you figure out what you want to do when you're 16, 17, I'm going to college. And I want to be a doctor. Watch the whole world transfix itself around you to help you get where you got to go. Right? That's what I said, point around that time frame. And on the flip side, when you don't know what you want to do, watch the world transfix itself into saying, I don't know what to do with you. Okay, we got a problem. You got to go into service. You got to do something different because you haven't figured it out. So your point of once you know why you're here, things fall into place. I'm giving that 1 + 1 example of how it plays into certain things. You could be a rapper if you're good at it. People say, I'll pay for studio time. I'll do this, that, and the third. I'm speaking to the alignment of. I'm not using that as a great example. I'm using it as an alignment example of what can happen and how that works when you do that.
I want to hit on something that Paul talked about earlier, which is very important. When you're having this conversation with yourself, and Paul was like, if you're speaking to someone else, you want to show the best version of you, right? And the reason why I said you have to be honest in these conversations, you're going to lie to yourself as well as who you're presenting is the best version of yourself. So you have to strip all of that down to say, is this really who I am? Or have I been told to be this because of the friends I'm around, because of social media casts I've been dealing with, because of what my mother and father told me I had to be? It's these the things.
Right.
So you have to have that internal conversation.
It's a strong conversation
too. About me.
That's a very strong conversation, because if you're in a music family and they all play instruments, but you want to be a lawyer,
right?
That's a hard ass conversation to have.
Hard conversation, and they don't normally have it because they want to impress.
And they don't have it.
They don't have it. And then, or they get ridiculed. They do have it, and they get ridiculed. You know, that's stupid. Why would you do that, boy? We're all this. And you need to follow in your dad's footsteps or your mom's footsteps. And you're the second generation. You got to do X, Y, and Z. Maybe you do.
What do you mean you want to be an artist?
Add in, watch this. Add in a namesake. Oh my God. Yeah. God forbid you're a junior.
You're a junior
same
or
name.
A third.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Man, don't forget the value conversation never happened. And you're a third. You're a third. The value conversation never happened. You're a third. Oh, wow.
To make it worse, what you just said, you might have had the value conversation, but you haven't had the value conversation with yourself. If my values actually line up with these people,
because if I'm a third, I've had 3 generations of what those values are.
right.
Exactly, which is why I said before, whose values are these? Are these mine, or are these other people's?
Mm-hmm.
Are these truly mine? Do I truly hate these people, or was I just told to hate these people?
Let's go. Do I even know these people?
Right.
To hate them.
That's
So when we start asking ourselves those questions, that's when that comes out, right? And so I use that not so much for the shock and awe part of it, but let's just get real, right? A lot of people adopt what they're told by the people that have been their caregivers, or the people that they quote unquote respect as authority in their life, right? They were giving those values because they were told to by people that they were told to listen to, but they don't feel that way. They don't know how to reconcile that, because if they don't behave that way, then they're outcasts. They're not part of the tribe.
God forbid there's money. God forbid it's a money
God
family.
forbid there's money, but God forbid there's money involved in that. Now you don't get the inheritance. Now you're the black sheep, right? And you're all those things, right, that we label that, right? So, and I'm not saying this is what it is across the board, but typically the black sheep is the person who doesn't have the same values as the rest of the family.
Let's go.
Does that mean they're wrong?
you just put the dichotomy of the situation on blast by saying what you just said. The black sheep of the family doesn't have the values. Is he wrong? Hence the term black sheep, which is another whole conversation of why that term is even being utilized.
Exactly.
This is what the values thinks.
A whole nother level, man. Hey, let's break down the Bible while we're at it. I mean,
it falls into so many different lanes, right? And each lane is a world unto itself. You're 1,000% correct. You're 1,000% correct. I don't even know. Give me these 3 things one more time. I'm ending this on the 3 things, because the best way for this podcast to stop here, or for it to be in a warm place for embracing, is let's just remind them what they need to do one more time. Okay, because again, if they hear this conversation, if you don't have the bandwidth, you're annoyed immediately. Okay, you're not okay, as I spoke to earlier about the damn phone. Okay, or number 3, you are challenging yourself in a way that you've never challenged before. Can you literally talk to yourself about yourself and reference the people around you and say to yourself, for argument's sake, I love my mom, but I don't like my mom.
Let's go.
And what she wants me to do, I don't want to do. And then prepping yourself to say, and I have to tell her this.
yeah.
That is amazingly or it's astonishingly difficult to do. I don't want them to feel as if, again, let's talk about my culture or culture in general. They will hear this and 90 people out of 100 will say, I ain't doing that shit. I ain't doing it. It's too much. I'm not doing it. So that's why they need the 3 things again, so they can start embracing what they have the capability of doing. You always got to speak to them as a level of potential. This is in you to do this.
And right before Paul says that, what about the people that you have to apologize for because you were the asshole?
Oh my God. For being the person that you are, because of the values that you did not discover that you had. So if you're the high school football player that didn't make it to the pros, but you were an absolute asshole in high school to all the girls.
Right.
Because value-wise, you had to be the stud athlete. Because if you weren't, you were not the. Oh my God! I'm sorry. Paul. I'm sorry. I'm just these scenarios are. This is insane. Okay, so let me come back. Please give us the 3 things again. All right, and then we gotta walk this someplace else. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
this is 10 podcasts. This is a dozen fucking podcasts.
No, we can have multiple conversations about this. I mean, I think. Hey, look. So I think the first thing is, I would say, it's not even knowledge; it's more about acceptance, right? Because everybody get off the purpose searching path. I can tell you what the purpose is right now: grow, give, love yourself, love others, grow yourself, grow others. Stop with the search. That's purpose. So you can stop there. Boom. Right. The second thing is really understand that, I mean, that comes from this whole conversation. Ask yourself these two questions. What's the most important day in my life, right? And why am I here? I mean, so we already know two most important days of your life. Day you're born, day you figure out why. Why am I here? Second question. So stop with the purpose journey. Purpose is universal. Grow, give, love yourself, love others, grow yourself, give to others. Second question is, why am I here, right? Whose values do you have? Do you have your values? Do you have someone else's values? If you can start there, you don't even have to figure out what your values are. Just, are those values mine or are they not mine? If I am not in alignment with the values that I got right now, this means I need to do deeper work, right? If I can figure out why I'm here, what are my gifts, what am I passionate about, and then, of course, go back to your values, you can figure out why you're here, right? But, purpose is grow yourself, give to others, love yourself, love others. I mean, that's universal. Stop playing with it. Stop thinking it's something much deeper than that.
Don't dance with that.
It's no deeper than that.
It's not rocket science.
Don't
Right?
dance
So
with that. Just know
so
that.
let that one go. That's what it is. You have to accept that. We have to accept that. And the moment we accept that, that's the moment we can become more compassionate to other people. We can become more empathetic. Like, there's a lot of people that don't like me, don't like the way I look, just because of what I look like. But I don't treat them any differently than I treat anybody else, because you know what? I'm here because I love myself and I love other people. I'm going to help you until you give me reason not to help you. I'm going to have compassion for you until you give me reason not to have compassion for you. Right?
We're there. No aesthetics, no word salad, no branding, straight architecture, because that's what you just gave us. You gave us pillars. It was pillars of architecture to start this process. And what I appreciate about Paul is that he pushes us back towards something older and more honest. First point, right? Grow, give. You cannot sustain and lead people beyond the integrity of your own structure. That's what you're saying as well, too, right? How can you even do this if you don't do these things yourself? And what we did is we broke it down, as KRS-One would say, to its very last compound of how this needs to be done. Okay? This stuff applies to executives, to artists, to creators, to anybody who wants to be trusted with weight in their life and be about something. So the real flex is not sounding not aligned, is building that foundation. And that is the beginning of you being in a leadership position. Paul, you're amazing, man. Again, I'm not okay. I'm not okay. I'm saying it right now. I'm not okay. Okay, I'm gonna call you tomorrow and be like, come on, man.
Why you did that?
Why you got to throw my whole ship off and have me thinking it's crazy about myself?
Oh.
I couldn't even get past the 88 questions I have for you. I got the 3.
Man, I can't even get to this. Look, Goju Nation, we appreciate you. Paul, thank you again. Tony, thank you for being involved again.
Paul, it's great meeting you, bro.
Okay.
Thank you as well. Absolutely.
Let's hit those socials.
Yes.
What we got? We got YouTube, we got Facebook, we got Threads, we got X, we got YouTube, and we have TikTok. TikTok is in the game. All right. I want to thank Paul McFadden. I want to thank Luigi. I want to thank the Grand Architect of the Universe. And always remember, okay, light and darkness cannot coexist at the same time. So if you choose to be one, choose to be the light. Thank you and thank you. Paul, hang out for a minute. Luigi still needs you. Okay?
All right.
Thank you, guys.
GothamJungle, we got the facts. Qualified, verified, certified plaques. Keep humble and remain class acts. If we choose to be the light, then we're never off track. Check the rhyme, can we kick it like Tribe does? All the time, we on point like a stylist.
Industry rule.
Don't forget the industry rule. Number 4080, baby, don't be fooled.